You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
Wake up to the world you've been missing. Time to jump out of bed in the morning. No day, no life, now we're living. Can you feel it in the air that you're breathing? Time to show 'em what you're made of. Let's get back on track. Are you ready for a come on? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Are you ready now? You're lifting off the ground. Welcome back. No coming down. Can you feel it all around? Welcome back.
It is Super Mega Crash Beyond Time. Yeah, I turned it into a rap. I was starting with the pyramid, but it didn't work, so I just started rhyming, and it sounded good. So here we are, talking about stuff. How you doing, Lace?
I can do all of them. I am great. Happy Monday. How are you? How are the siblings?
I'm doing all right. They're all right, I'm hoping.
I hope so. Hopefully you'll have more fun now because we're going to kind of play. Well, we always play.
Yeah, we always play.
We're not actually playing a game show, though, today. I know you might be a little deceived because we have done that in the past. Yeah, so just to be clear, sorry.
Yeah, we're talking about them. We're not playing them, even though we
Yeah.
could at some point.
And should again
Yeah.
because I love them.
Mhm.
I like to play games.
Yeah, well,
Game
we'll
show
have to,
format.
I think we may have to do something along the lines of we both challenge each other to a game and make that an entire episode. So you have one, I have one, and then we see who can.
Let's
best.
do it, siblings. We're doing this.
Yeah.
We're doing this. I'm a noodle on that this week. I'm a noodle on it.
Yeah,
That's what the kids say still, right?
noodling.
On it.
I
Yeah,
guess
don't know.
all the slang that they come up with. It's funny because I'm sure we've talked about this in the past, but they'll have
Sure.
new words, and you're like, "What does that mean?" And they're just
Mm-hmm.
like, "You just don't understand."
Yeah. We've
like,
finally
okay.
reached that age now
Yeah,
where we don't know. Because I can remember doing the same thing, as a teenager or something. And I'm sure our parents were like, what?
yeah.
What does that even mean? But yeah, I was having that discussion yesterday, actually. That's what was kind of funny. I was like, I finally learned what based means. I think I get it now. I've only had to hear it for years
Sure.
in context before it finally clicked. Even looking up the description, I'm like, I don't know how to use that in a sentence still. And mid, all right, I got you. But as soon as I learn it, they'll change. And that's fine.
They
That's
do.
their rite of passage as the next generation to have their own lingo.
It's.
I don't know that ours was that cool.
Well, it was cool to us at the time
Sure.
because we would just say stuff like rad and awesome and.
I still say dude. I think you
Dude.
age yourself by the slang you won't get rid of.
Yeah.
Because I still say dude, and in this day and age, I guess, and I'm like, trust me, it's very unisex when I say dude. Everyone's dude. I never bothered dudette. It was just if you were a human in front of me, dude, you would not believe, it was just, yeah. So trust me, it's not a gendered thing. It's a you are in front of me thing, and I am talking to you, so you are now dude.
My kids, their equivalent of dude is bruh.
Bruh. I've
So
heard that.
I'll hear them say that to each other like, bruh, what are you doing? Bruh. Bruh.
You gotta force that UH.
Hmm.
Bruh.
And
Yeah.
even our kid has, like our youngest, has started using it on us.
Aw.
And it's just like, bruh. And it's like, don't call me bruh. What are you talking about?
That's gotta be adorable though, coming out of her mouth though. I feel like I would laugh because it's cute.
Well, it seems to come out when she's just a little salty about something. Bruh.
Oh.
Like, oh, okay.
Aw.
So,
Of course,
That's-
she's older than I keep. She's solidified in my mind as like 5 or 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the first time I'd seen her, and then the last time she came walking in, we're doing the podcast. I'm like, oh my God, they
Mhm.
grow.
yeah, she is
that.
going to be 10 this year.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Jeez.
if anyone wants to do the math on this, because you'd have to figure out which kid it is, I just had another one of my children turn 18 just the other day. So now I have 4 over the age of 18 and then 1 left at, like I said, going to be 10
Yeah.
later this year. So,
Almost ready. 8 more years. Give her the boot, huh? No, I'm kidding.
yeah.
But
Well,
maybe.
hey.
Yeah.
You know,
We'll see.
that's kind of what I said to all the others. It's like, make your way, get out there in the world, because
Yeah.
I can't collar you forever.
Nope. That's my only job. The buck stops at 18, and then past that's the generosity of my good spirit.
And I honestly think they didn't quite understand my parenting method of trying to prepare them for the world. They just thought I was being hard on them. I was like, no. You need to prepare for the worst of the worst in the world. I'm not going to be hateful about it, but I'm also trying to prepare you for the unexpected, just negative nonsense that happens
The
in the
day
world.
you don't get your way and maybe not have a complete and utter meltdown where it's got to become the world's problem.
Yeah.
Maybe learning those skills, because life is not fair and it never will be. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even when my oldest started telling me the complications of certain things in life, it took so much for me to go, yeah, that's life. Welcome to it.
Yeah.
But I didn't, because I understand.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah, I know it's difficult and I hate it for them, and I wish I could do something to alleviate that pain, but even if I could, I don't know if I would, because then where's the lesson? Where's the...
Yeah, what favors does it do them in the long run?
Right. I wouldn't want to see them suffer, and I would do anything to kind of keep them from that. But these are the hardships of life that we all have to go through. Mm-hmm. And I wish to God they would stop on my end, because I felt like I put in my time. But that's not how life works.
It is not.
So I just bite the bullet and suck it up and do what I can.
Is what it is, right? Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, we're not talking about
The
life.
job never stops.
We're not talking about life. We are talking about game shows. Now,
Game show.
this was a topic you came up with. Was there anything specific about this topic that you really wanted to dive into?
I think it would just be interesting to discuss just how different they are from their inception to the ones that we have today, that still tries to come out, which I don't think they make it nearly as well today. But I don't know if I could blame that really on the fact that it's a dumb game show or just the fact that we're streaming. Because this was a thing that was just always daytime TV, right? You can tell. Like, we can start all the way back when they first started, not radio. Obviously, when TV came out, they, moved it to where you could see the humans, but you can really tell in the, prizes or, how they talk to each other or the commercials are very gendered because who's sitting at home during the day in the 50s? It's all dish soap commercials and Lysol and everything for cleaning or starching clothes or any of that. I've been brushing up again over the last couple of weeks just to wow. Today we'd go, what? That's not even a thing. Oh, no. You would have not liked life in the 50s then. It was very, he's head of the household. What's your name, young woman? That's it, But yeah, I mean, if you start all the way back, I don't know, you probably watch some old black and white ones, I'm sure as well. I used to be addicted to Game Show Network growing up too, so I would get to watch some of the old ones and then whatever was going on then. And wait, maybe it was a Game Show Network then. When did it become a thing? All of my brushing up, and I didn't check when Game Show Network became a thing.
I'm sure we can do that here on this little
in front of these machines that are sitting in front of us. But yeah, and I would say probably you started to see them quiz shows anyway kind of revamp again in the 90s. So you had them really popular in the 50s and the 60s, kind of had a break, which we'll kind of get into, I'm sure, with the why. And then revamped again in the 90s, and then to what we have now, which is basically a bunch of reboots.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of new ones unless you're going to start counting competition reality shows, which, sure, you're winning a prize, you're still playing a game. I could consider that counting. But I mean, we didn't have anything close to that back when this first started.
Sure.
But I don't know, do you have a comfort one from back in the day? Because I know I do. Anytime it would come on, I had to watch it, and I just would grin from ear to ear the whole time.
Well, to answer your question real quick, started in 2004.
Oh, okay. So not growing up, but then just game shows on the TVs I was watching. And probably in Syndicate then, of course, because I was not born in the 50s. was a little before my time.
So with a comfort game show, that might be a difficult question because I think I had quite a few.
Sure.
But to say which one, I might have to just say, because I know as a kid, I enjoyed watching this for one specific reason. And the moment I say it, you're going to be like, oh, of course. Press Your Luck.
Uh-huh.
You couldn't help but watch it as a kid because they would animate the little
The
whammies.
Wait, well, were they actually called whammies, though? I think it was no whammy. I'm trying to... You might be right, though.
I think that's what they were, because they were the whammies, and then if you landed on it, you lost all your money or your turns or whatever.
Oh, okay, yeah. I just wasn't sure. Oh, each of them had their own little name, though. Because they would all be like different personalities. That's what I was trying to think of. Okay, yeah.
But, yeah, there was... that aspect of it was something you didn't see on any other game show, like little animated characters, so that was already a
So
positive.
fun.
But the intensity of the game could sometimes just be like a lot. So
Yeah.
you have this roulette pretty much wondering if people are are they gonna hit it right, are they gonna nail it, and then if they do, hooray. But if they even get a whammy, hooray! I get to see a
For us
whammy.
kids, like, look, they get a little scene, that they dance across or do whatever.
So that was kind of a cruel way of watching the show because you
Hoping they lose. So you can
yeah,
get a whammy.
you're kind of rooting for them, but at the same time you kind of want to see the whammy. So I don't know. There was just something about that one that was just a lot of fun. There was it was a lot of energy to it too, and it was always something that when I would see it on, I would stop. And I don't know if I really made it appointment TV, like I knew exactly when it was coming on.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
But anytime I would be scrolling the channels, and I think this was one of those that, well, I'd say a lot of these, with exception to maybe one or two that I can think of off the top of my head, most of these were syndicated. And you could just catch them at random parts of the day. Like I said, with rare exception. And I don't know, this was always one of those that anytime I saw on, man, I was there, I stopped, and I would watch.
I did too. And it's kind of that no whammies. Now it's just like, I think it's a culture thing now, because you'll even see it on any other kind of game show or quiz show or something where like, no whammies, no whammies. I've even used it on random other things, just playing around. So, I think it's kind of in our cultural zeitgeist, I guess is what you would call it. Yeah. Like, you may not know where it came from, but I bet you some kids even nowadays would have heard like, no whammy, no whammy. They may not know why.
Right.
But there is a newer one, or there was a newer one, but we're still talking.
Yeah, we're talking
20
about
years ago still now.
What was his name? Peter Tomarken, I think was the host back then.
Maybe. That's the thing. Names will probably start to slip my mind, but I could see all their faces.
Yeah. Now, the one that you were just talking about, I think that was the one, was it Elizabeth Banks hosted that one?
I still remember another guy. Now, she might have, I think she's doing one. There's like a version now or over the last couple of years that, yes, I believe she is the host of. I want to say there was another one in like early 2000s or something. I think they called it Whammy. Press Your Luck, something like that. So none of them have been as good, obviously. And maybe that's just because that's what we grew up on. That's the OG. That's how it's supposed to be. But I've tried watching some of the newer ones and I can't get into it as much.
Yeah, there's
maybe the magic
is
is gone because I know it's coming. I don't know, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, like even with the one with Elizabeth Banks, I give it a shot, because I think ABC was doing this, like they were trying to revive the game show. And
I think they still have quite a bit.
Do they? Okay. I wasn't sure.
They don't always last past the season, but they are trying.
Outside of Family Feud, which we'll talk in greater detail later on, I know that's one of their staples, but then I noticed they were trying different things, and that was one of them. And when they said Press Your Luck is coming back, I thought, all right, I remember that. I want to check it out. But you're right. The energy, there's just something, it was fun to watch, but just didn't hit the same, it was, I can't explain it, and it's bizarre.
And maybe it's because we've had such high energy shows and stuff already that it's not such a stark difference from the other ones that you're seeing any longer. We're to the point where we're making reality TV to where they're getting coached to be high energy one way or the other. So it's like, all right,
Now,
people do that now.
while we're on the subject of this game show, I
Mm-hmm.
do want to ask, do you remember the controversy?
Is it the one with the guy figuring out the pattern?
The pattern? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, quick TLDR for anybody who might not know this.
Mm.
The board, there's a little light that kind of goes around the board and just randomly, or at
Random,
least
Or we thought.
was random. But apparently there was a pattern to the light fixture and how they would bounce around. And a guy figured it out, and he like laid into that board and just, you'd think if you were going to do this, you would play it a little safe, where you would make a mistake here or there.
Right.
Maybe not lose all your money, because, I mean, that's kind of your point. But,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Play the system a little better than that, man.
Yeah, but his name was Michael Larson. I had to go look it up because I couldn't remember his
I
name.
would never remember their name. Mm-mm.
But apparently he left with over $110,000 by the time he was done. And I think he actually ran the game for at least 2 episodes. So they had to
Wow.
just kind of stretch it out. And
Had to be good TV, though. I feel like
yeah.
you'd let it go because the ratings would have to be high,
Yeah. And I think when you kind of get those people who get that moment, you do get excited for them because you're like,
Oh, yeah.
okay. Are you
I'm
going to
in
do
it,
it?
man.
Yeah, you
I'm
want to know.
invested when I'm watching game shows. I'm playing along and all that. Yep.
But it was something really spectacular just to kind of see. If you want to deep dive into it, because I won't do a whole great big deep dive into it, but there's a documentary called Big Bucks, Press Your Luck. Go look for it. I am sure it's on some streaming platform, has to be. But
Yeah.
that'll give you,
You
the
can find
deep
some
dive.
things on YouTube too, believe it or not. Like I was finding a lot of older shows on YouTube sporadically. It wasn't like a whole run or anything, but
But sure,
Yeah.
like that whole story was very fascinating, and I highly recommend checking out that documentary because it was just they show everything in real time as far as like when they played it, the original, the first time, the game show, and I don't know, you could feel that energy in that room, but you knew something was amiss after a while.
like how? Yeah, and just to be impressed that someone would figure that out.
Yeah.
That there was even a pattern. Like I don't know that I ever paid attention that hard.
And I don't.
Now it's random, and I think they randomized it after that because of that reason.
Yeah,
But,
they changed the whole pattern.
Yeah, had to. Well, I mean, these days you could probably just time it to be completely random all over the board,
Yeah.
especially with AI and all this stuff that we've got going on now. These days.
These days, for sure.
Yeah, over the last, I don't know, however many years now that it's become a concern, a thing, whatever you want to call it in your life. But yeah, I did do a lot of Press Your Luck. I did watch that a lot too. I know if we're if we're in that time frame, I would say the one that I always went back to if it was on, regardless if I had seen it before, was Match Game.
Match Game, yeah.
I don't know what it was about that format, but I think it was also because it's one of the only times that you saw celebrities actually trying so that they could win money for the people who were, a contestant on the show. They were they'd give a joke answer, but that wouldn't be the one that they legitimately write on the card to try to screw over. Like if you're not familiar with Match Game, I can't imagine our audience would be, but you never know. I would say go check it out. But it was a panel of 6 celebrities from, their time period. So we may not know who they all are now, but 6 celebrities, 1 host, and then 2 contestants. And you would choose a card. They'd have like card A, card B. And so contestant 1 would choose A or B. And when they'd open up the card, it was some phrase that you would have to fill in a blank. Like, Jack and Jill went up the hill. And they'd be like, how far'd they go? To fetch a do while they sit there and think of whatever the answer was. And then however many celebrities you matched were the points you got. And obviously you want to match all 6. And then you'd go into another round where it was like a one-on-one with a celebrity and win more money and so on and so forth. So, but it was easy enough to play along with because it would be phrases you had heard of or things of that nature. And I just had a great time with it. You had Richard Dawson on, of course, because he was a big deal back then. I think that was before Family Feud, before he took over Family Feud. You'd have Betty White on from time to time. How do you not love that? You know, so you watch it long enough, you're like, oh my gosh, all these amazing people. It was just so much fun to play.
Sure.
Now, I don't know if you'd watched the one that they tried to reboot with Alec Baldwin as the host.
Yeah.
I feel they failed it so hard that I was so pissed off because you're not even going for phrases that make any sense. Like, it's very open-ended. Like, you could put any word there and it would make sense. So you're not even trying to help gear towards an answer. The celebrities don't give any crap. They'll put whatever on the card so long as they think it's a laugh. So these people here are like, hi, I'm poor, not a celebrity. Could you maybe not do that for jokes and laughs so I could win some money? So it just didn't have the same energy. I don't know. Did you watch it?
I did give it a watch because I was, when they, like I mentioned before, when they started this revival of a bunch of game shows, I was curious, you know, because again, this is why we're talking about it. These were things that we were all excited about at the time. And I thought, yeah, let's see what they could do with that. We watched a few episodes.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't feel like the energy was quite what it needed to be. It almost seemed like half the panel were hammered and just...
Well, they were in the 70s too.
Sure.
They were sitting up there drinking and smoking and doing whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of them were trying to make jokes as opposed to really trying to... It's like they tried too hard in the joke direction without really trying to focus on the game.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, help these people out. What are you doing, you know?
It wasn't as fun because no one was actually trying to be competitive.
Right.
At least on that side. I'm sure the contestants absolutely wanted to. I mean, for whatever that's worth, you know, how real any of it really is. But yeah, I think that the phrases, I feel like they fell really hard on because the ones in the 70s, sure, there might have been some where I may not know just because I wasn't around at that time or something. Like, I don't know, a turn of phrase that might have been popular then. But for the most part, there was like one or two answers that would fit nicely there. You know, make it more of a yes, you can get a correct answer. But yeah, some of these, I don't know. I felt like you could put whatever in there and it would still make sense. So you're giving it an opportunity to have 6 different answers from the celebrities. And you could come up with a 7th one. You know, you want to try to match some people.
Yeah.
And if you're making it that hard, you're never going to. I don't know. And then it's just not as much fun to watch if everyone's putting up zeros, you know.
And another thing, too, that I noticed is they really tried to push the boundaries of the joke answers. Because if you think about it, the original Match Game, there were a lot of censorship back then. So there were the things you could and couldn't say.
Yeah. You got around it.
It seemed like, well, since they had a little bit more freedom to make those, you know, risque jokes, they really went for it. And I don't know, that kind of sucked some of the joy out of it too. It's like, yeah, it's kind of funny. But if everybody's continually doing it, it's like, okay, well, it's not that shocking anymore because
right.
everyone's doing it.
It's all the same. I think it's finally canceled. If it's still going, I have no idea because I gave up on it. I tried because, like I said, I love game shows. If I see a new one on, I'm going to give it a shot because I'm hoping it's going to be fun and something I'm going to want to sit there and like play along with you. I'll get into it, man. Like, I'm on the show. That's the way it's fun. That's how it's fun to watch. So even if you go back a little bit more, like I would even watch some of the black and white ones, I would still say Beat the Clock.
Beat the Clock.
Beat the Clock is still one of my favorites because it's just tomfoolery and I love it. And if we would come up with something like that now that could be just as fun, maybe we're ready for that kind of silliness again. But this is where it'll really hit home too. When you start watching these that are from the early 50s, late 50s, that this is where you can see, I think, the hugest difference from like then to now. Because we're talking... If it was usually like a husband and wife team or a couple, you know, of some sort that was on Beat the Clock. And it would be some real nonsense they would have to do. Like in 60 seconds, you both have a table that has 2 holes cut out on end to end, right? And so husband and wife is on the table. There's a ball they're going to put on the table. Now in 60 seconds, you both have to figure out how to roll it into a bucket. And it's hilarious to watch. Because you're trying all sorts of stupid, weird configurations and they're messing up and dropping things. I'm dying the whole time. One woman's job was to hold a balloon down with her right foot while she put a sock on her left. But it was hilarious to watch her try. And the host was good about playing along because obviously that balloon left her foot a billion times, or she popped several. You know, it was hilarious. But it was funny to watch and harmless. And, but that one was the first one I remembered watching because, you know, they've always got to talk to the contestants ahead of time. We've got so-and-so from wherever in the world. Tell us what you do, you know, and talking to the man, like, what do you do for a living and going into all of that. And like, cool. Look at the wife or whomever. Oh, what does your husband do? Oh, we're not going to ask about my life at all. I guess they figured, well, what is she doing? That's so interesting to talk about. But anytime there was a woman on there, what's your name? What does your husband do? And like watching it through today's eyes is just so infuriating because she's probably like, I have lots of things I could say, but nobody cares because I'm a lady, you know? And the prizes, of course, were very, very, you know, gendered. She'd get a new kitchen range or, a new coffee maker or whatever it was back in the day, you know, a rotisserie. But yeah. I just enjoyed that. And the one that I watched the other day that I just laughed from ear to ear is she had to hold a pole. And at the end of the pole was a Dixie cup full of pancake batter. And then there was a board that had like that was just hanging up that had like a peg on it, you know, and the husband had to lay underneath it. And her job was to get the pancake batter tipped over onto that peg so it would fall out on his face. And that is the challenge. And I'm just like, this is for some reason just so freaking fantastic to me that I don't know. I just laugh and smile every time I watch Beat the Clock. So if you ever want to just some tomfoolery for 20 minutes of your day, you can find some of them still on YouTube. I recommend it. It's just, I don't know. It's just so much fun to sit there and watch. But your consolation prize would be like a carton of Winston's.
Oh,
you know, because like everything was a cigarette. Pretty much put their ads on everything. Camel was another big one that you would see all the time. It's just that it was hilarious to me that was your prize. Sorry you didn't win the $10, but here's a carton of, you know, Winston cigarettes. And you're like, oh, okay.
And the fact, it's almost like at the time they were just like, well, everybody smokes. It doesn't matter.
But they did. They did. And that's the thing. Because, I mean, even back then, they didn't realize how bad it really was for you. Heck, I can't even remember seeing old ads where they were like, for one, they used to call it the F slur, right? Because I can't even say that now. But it would be in the like ad, you know, like every time I need to go sing, I'd light up a, you know, because it really opens up the lungs and clears my voice. Like this is what they were thinking. You know, so it's like cigarette, everyone. You'd even see them on panels smoking cigarettes. Like it was nothing to see people just smoking casually all the time on TV.
And you know what? I want to even point this out, all right? Because I saw this the other day and it just blew my mind. You know how here recently we've had, we have disclaimers on TV shows. If there's something that would be like flashing lights, they say,
lights,
hey,
language,
we just want to kind of give you a quick little, hey, there's some strobing that might happen. If you're epileptic, you know, this might affect you. Viewer discretion advised. Understandable.
Sure. Suicide
or something like that. They put a little message.
Unalive. Apparently.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The real word is horrible. And I'm sorry that I have to mention that. I just can't understand what the difference is by saying the actual word or making up a new one. I just don't understand. Someone's going to have to explain that to me at some point in our lives. But go ahead.
No,
before like our whole podcast is banned or something. I don't know.
I heard that say. Have you? All right. Here's a quick tangent. Quick tangent. Have you heard of a show called In the Know on Peacock?
No.
Okay.
I actually haven't. Okay.
Jesus. There was a whole episode about that. And
was there now?
It just broke my brain because you're just hearing it and was like, who cares? Why? Why is it? I don't. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. That's going to be maybe that should be a whole other pod. Why do we feel like making up new words when we have words that already exist to mean the same thing?
Right.
Anyway.
But with I'm still saying it. Suicide.
Yeah.
What do? They put the thing up and say, hey, this has depictions of this and this. Viewer discretion advised. Got it.
Yep.
First time the other day, I just watched a show and it says, this show contains people smoking tobacco. Tobacco may cause serious harm to your lungs. And I was like, Jesus.
They actually went so far as to say that. What year was the show?
It just came out. This was like a brand
said
spanking
it would do
new
harm
show.
to your lungs. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I see them saying like tobacco use, drug use, alcohol, blah blah blah. You know, but I've never seen them like go so hard.
I've seen it in the ratings, sure, and I was like, all right, fair, but never like that. And that just I was like, what?
Right, like we're just now figuring this out.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like today's day and age, when you're like, that's bad for you. It's like there's no smoker alive that's not aware.
Yeah, I think
Now you're just being annoying. Leave them alone, unless they're the type that's just like all up in your face about it. And you're not a smoker. Like be a decent smoker.
Yeah.
Remove yourself from your non-smoking friends or whatever. Have your cigarette, come back or whatever. But yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
But yeah,
Sorry.
just the fact that they were like, and I'm like, we know, we're aware.
Mhm.
But yeah, also I want to say one of the other biggest differences that I noticed from then, like, and I'll keep on with like Beat the Clock or, any of the black and white To Tell the Truth. The prizes outside of, being cigarettes, so much better quality. Like they'd have like a mahogany inlay TV with these big, nice like cabinets that lay underneath it. Or even like if you're looking at the kitchen range they're getting, like it's this all steel, like will last probably the next 50 years. You know what I mean? Like the quality of the prizes were just so much more cool. Like, yeah, we're giving away TVs and, cars and money and stuff like that. But they don't look like this. Like, and then one woman, 48 pounds of ham.
48 pounds of ham?
What are you going to do with 48 pounds of ham?
Where are you going to store 48 pounds of ham? They didn't have
Maybe
big
in her brand new
refrigerators.
ice box from whatever it was, But that was on the show Camouflage. I was watching that and they were rattling off. She did really well. Apparently she's been on show to show to show. It was like 10 minutes of them rattling off all of the things that she won. But the only two things I remember was the 48 pounds of ham because it was like in the middle there and like a Bonneville car or something. But it was just so much stuff where I'm like, ham?
There's a joke Patton Oswalt did that would be so perfect for that.
I was out shopping, grocery shopping. I'm in my sweatpants. I'm in my matching color t-shirt and flip-flops, ladies. So, got my crumbled up shopping list and I'm staggering around. The hell I gotta buy? And our supermarket has a deli counter where you can walk up and they'll cut you up a pound of ham, turkey, cheese, anything you want. Cut it up fresh, boom, off you go. But then to save everybody time, they will pre-cut 1 pound things of ham, turkey, cheese, so you can walk up and go, I'll get 2 cheeses, I'll get a ham, and boom, you're on your way. So I'm staggering up to the counter with my list, and I vaguely see that the next guy in line is this morbidly obese guy, huge, and he's the next guy in line at the counter, and he's blocking part of the counter, and what I can't see is there's only one 1 pound thing of pre-cut ham in the ham bin. There's only one left. I can't see that. All I hear as I approach him is him say, I want all the ham. That's all I heard. Meaning he just wants that one thing. But I immediately ran away around the corner into the next aisle and started laughing my ass off. I wasn't even laughing at him. I was thinking of the guy at the deli counters going, gulp, here we go. And then like, Eye of the Tiger starts up, like, he's doing it. It's happening. Then I thought, what if a third party witnessed that? What if a third person was 20 yards away and all they see is a guy dressed like me with a crumpled piece of paper, and he's approaching this morbidly obese guy at a deli counter, and just as he gets there, the morbidly obese guy goes, I want all the ham, and the guy with the paper goes, oh shit, and he runs away. He might honestly believe that he just saw the future get doomed. Because obviously, the morbidly obese guy is destined to begin working out and become this cut, muscular warrior of the wasteland and save humanity from the robot lizards that have taken over in 40 years. And the few remaining humans have sent me, this emissary, back to read him the message and tell him of his destiny. But we have historical records. We know we have to get to him before he decides to commit ham suicide at the pavilions in Burbank, California. And I'm clearly woozy from the time tunnel, and I'm trying to get to him, and I'm almost there when he says, I want all the ham. I'm like, oh God, we're doomed! We need to find another warrior!
So, imagine that guy being the contestant here. I want all the ham.
Well, you got it. 50 pounds of ham.
Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
But yeah, it just, I don't know. It looked like the prizes just, you cared more. I don't know. More wholesome. And the fact that if they walked with $500, that was the big prize, and you're just like, oh man.
Yeah,
What
if?
it must have been like to be alive at a time where well, I guess back then it would have been like, oh my God, that's so much money, so it's all relative. But it's just when you see it, we're like, you won $10. It's like, oh, cool. But maybe that was $100 then. I don't know. I always make the joke that like $1 in 1950 is $1 billion today, but I know that's like not,
But
the rate. But she also won a vacation to Puerto Rico worth $394.
ooh,
And I'm just like, wow, I want to go to Puerto Rico for $394.
right?
That's not even covering the plane ticket these days. But yeah, so Beat the Clock was definitely, I want to say, one of my favorite black and white game shows that if I see it on, I'm going to it. And to tell the truth, I think I used to watch a lot too. And especially, like, I didn't know who these people were anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So me watching To Tell the Truth from the 50s did feel kind of pointless. Because, like, yeah, they tell the audience, like, sometimes. But they have, like, the three people up there and they're like, my name is, I don't know, I'm just going to pull one out of the hat, Henry Winkler. And the next one, my name is Henry Winkler. And they go on down. And so the celebrities have to ask them questions to see who's the real whatever it is, the real horse trainer, the real, something silly. But the one I watched the other day was the singer for Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini. And then I laughed because I was like, I guess back then you wouldn't have seen all of the singers or know them by face if they were just all on the radio. Because in my head, I'm going, when you know who the singer is of the song? Oh, wait, maybe not. And it was at the time, like some real young kid. He looked like he was like 19 or 20. Then he would have had to have been younger because back then they all looked old by the time they hit 18. For some reason, they just looked like they went from 10 to 40. And
all
I
that
guess
smoking.
life was... maybe. I don't know. Like, life had to be different. But I have to say, if you look at like yearbook pictures for teenagers from like the 40s and 50s to now, I'm like, what the hell life did they have to lead to look that fucking old by 18, So you're right. It's just different lifestyle. They were probably working harder, more physical labor, like you said, smoking, drinking, all this stuff. But yeah, they just looked so old, and I don't know why it is. Why we look like babies now. Yeah, anyway,
Better
I'll
living,
keep
I
rambling
suppose.
on a bunch of them. But yeah, I brought that one up to say they did revamp To Tell the Truth. Shit, why can't I remember the guy's name? He was on Blackish. I think I asked you about this the other
Anthony
day.
Anderson?
Thank you.
Mm.
His mom was also on it too, though. It's just like kind of funny commentary off to the side and play along. That one wasn't too bad,
Okay.
actually. Because I think the banter between like Anthony and his mom was cute enough, and I actually knew one.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't even know, and it was only because I had just watched the documentary. They had the 3 people on 3 women, whoever ran the last Blockbuster in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
And I had literally just watched that documentary maybe a week or 2 prior to this one coming out. And I'm like, hey, I actually know this one. The celebrities did not get it that was on the show. But so, yeah, I still think that one kind of holds up for me. I don't think it's on anymore, though. I think it's already been tossed because, ABC, they don't like to keep anything that does well.
Yeah.
This is why I stopped giving any of their comedies or sitcoms or anything a try, because I'll love it because you find good talent, you find great writers, but then after a year or 2, you're like, meh,
Yeah.
we're not even going to wrap it up. We're just going to cancel it midsummer, even though they thought they were returning. And I'm like, what is your problem, ABC? You find amazing things. Anyway, I've bitched about that for years. Anyone who knows me at this point knows I'm bitter towards ABC. But that one I don't think was too bad. I would recommend that one if you wanted to give it a shot. Like I said, I don't know if it's still on, but that one seemed fairly 1-to-1. Not Match Game. They screwed it all up. But that one seemed very 1-to-1.
Okay.
And I think to me, it's also just fun to see who was the celebrity back then.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes every once in a while you'll catch one that you've seen today and you're just like, oh, wow, you know, from like 50 years ago. But that's rare. Most of them I'm just like, I don't even know. They're gone. What was I watching even earlier today? Personalities. It was kind of like Match Game, but like instead, I don't know, celebrity would have said one of three things. And then the other two celebrities has to guess which one of those three things that so-and-so would have said. So I was watching one that had Joan Rivers on it,
Okay.
Flip Wilson, and Jack Cassidy, I think was his name. I'd seen them all before. Obviously, Joan Rivers, I knew. She made it well into, you know, before she passed. She was still very much on TV and alive and well. But like Flip and Jack, I knew of. Because, like, I mean, how do you not know Flip Wilson? He was like one of the first ones to ever become a person of color celebrity on TV. Like that,
Right.
He had his own game shows and did all that stuff that made it. And if you think of the time period, it's impressive, right? Because they're like probably just allowed to do all this stuff. I don't know. But I know who he is, obviously. He made a huge dent in entertainment. But so it's okay. I don't know if we need to bring that one back because everyone would just make it, you know, sex and gross, because I feel like that's what we default to. What's comedy anymore.
That's what, yeah, that was a thing with Match Game. That's what they did.
It's like not everything has to be an innuendo to be. And you know what, though? I almost feel like it's lazy. I don't know, like self-deprecating humor is just an easy one to fall back on. I feel like innuendos and stuff like that are just cheap fallbacks on. I feel like it would be more creative to come up with a joke that doesn't have innuendo these days. That's why when I see comedians, stand-up comedians, that's their shtick, I might laugh at about 5 minutes of your material, but after a while, I'm over it. Can we move on to something new?
See,
Is your whole jokes about you fucking and dicks and blah, blah, blah? This is what... Okay.
See, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I feel like this is why they're jokes that if they're well placed, they can be
Right.
hilarious.
Sure.
I argue, and I know that this might seem juvenile to a lot of people, but I feel like a fart can be funny
Farts are funny.
if you do it right. If you're
Right.
just putting it in there and being like, look at
Yeah.
that, oh, it's stinky. No, it's not funny. It's juvenile. That's ridiculous. It doesn't, like those jokes, they just don't land because you're just like, well, we need a joke. Generic fart joke or generic sex joke. Look what we did. It's not funny. But well-timed, well-placed, well-told. It's so perfect.
Farts can be very funny, but you're right. You have to be more clever with it, I think, these days too. It's like we've seen the fart jokes.
Yeah.
How are you going to make this new one funny? How are you
Right.
going to time it? What conversation are you going to decide to place it in? What's the situation? You know, like
Exactly.
all of that has to be considered. But then it could be hilarious. I agree. I don't know. I'll keep rambling. Any other shows that you wanted to talk about? 'Cause,
absolutely.
I've got a billion D of this to talk about. This show could probably go 5 hours if I had my way.
So I was I kind of wanted to talk about some of the bigger ones, but I feel like everyone knows about Price is Right, Family Feud, things like that. Because, I mean, these are shows that are still on the air today, Wheel of Fortune. So we all know them. We all see them. I would say it would be very hard-pressed to find someone who doesn't know these shows.
Or even
Today?
Jeopardy. That's probably one
And
of
Jeopardy?
the big ones, too.
Yeah.
And the fact that it survived, because I don't know if everyone's aware, just a little short tangent, like there was like a quiz show debacle that happened in about like the late 50s, early 60s, where they were legitimately fixing the shows. Like some of them were getting coached ahead of time with the answers. So for TV, because how fun is it to watch two people know nothing and never hit the button and never get anything right? But it finally came out that they were legitimately doing that. And then that's when Congress redid like the act from 1939 or whatever that was like to radio and all that kind of stuff and updated it to where like you're not allowed to rig these kinds of things and honest and ads and all this kind of stuff, which begs the question about reality TV shows these days not falling under that same law. But anyway, go ahead. So that's why it's like when Jeopardy and all them started to come back in the 90s after the law had passed, almost more impressive.
Yeah.
You had to actually get smart people somehow.
Yeah. I mean, Jeopardy was never my game. My brother could watch it, and
No.
he could. I wouldn't say he was one of those savants who could just sit there and answer, but I mean, he was smart enough that I felt like he could have. I think he could have been on the show. I
Yeah.
think he could have, whether he'd won or not, he would have at least put up a good run with the other
Right.
people.
Wouldn't look like an idiot.
Right.
Right.
So I was trying to think of some games that maybe some people don't remember or they haven't heard of. And I remember liking this one, and I can't tell you what about it that I loved. And I think it was just the way the game played. And I think that's where a lot of these and my attraction to them comes from, is just something about either the way the game is played, how it's played, or just something in the show is just drawing me in. And Card Sharks was one that I used to love watching. And that kind of worked as, if I remember correctly, it was like playing poker, was it not?
Maybe I'll have to look it up, because there was one that was like basically just playing higher or lower.
Maybe that's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking of. Joker's
which for-
Wild, that's the one that I think was more poker.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, this was
But
high-low.
I think Card Sharks was higher or lower. Yeah.
So they would put up one card, you'd say high-low, flip it, and then you'd kind of do this as kind of a...
Do you want to stop?
Yeah, do you want to
Wasn't
kind of
that
keep
the-
going or whatever, and then you kind of play that. But then there was a secondary, and I honestly feel like I'm getting this and Joker's Wild mixed up a little bit,
Yeah, they're very similar.
because there were some... What was the end game to that?
It was like a one-on-one for Card Sharks, if that's what I'm thinking of. So they would go, well, I don't know how they did it back in the day, but like you would go forward. And so you're betting however much money you had won along the way on the higher or lower for yourself. You know, so it's like if you won $50,000 or whatever the price was, I'll bet $10,000 the next card is high or low.
Right.
And then so on and so forth until you've ran the board or lost all your money.
And then you could even freeze your position, right? Because it was...
in the regular game, I believe you could, when you're against the other person, you could freeze it, hoping the next person will bust and not run the board too.
Right.
But
Yeah, there was just... I know that
I
I'm
watched that one too.
a little scatterbrained on it, because I remember that one, and like I said, I also remember Joker's Wild, which was another card game that... And I think card-type games like that were ones that drew me in a little bit, because I guess it was... adding some extra flair to it or something, you know? But
Yes, I had to look just to make sure it is the higher or low. Or Joker's Wild is the poker one. More
yeah,
pokerish.
okay. And see, I feel like I'm... Okay, so there's a Price is Right game that I think also does some dice or something that I'm also kind of mixing in.
Hold on.
That it's also a high-low thing, because you'd have to roll it, and it'd be like, here, you put it here, and then you'd put the dice in, but then you had to say... Is it going to be higher or lower than what you rolled? And then you'd put it in a row, and then they'd kind of go through, and after you did about
Gotta look
5
it up,
rolls.
because I do know if it's just high-low dice game, I'm gonna laugh. But like, I feel like it's had to have had a...
Something
It does
like
say dice game. Are you
Dice
kidding
game.
me? Oh, no, wait. Sorry. I clicked on the wrong thing. It was a Price is Right game. Never mind. It was something else. But yeah. Shoot. Now maybe I'm not Googling correctly.
Well, maybe that...
But
I think
yes.
that's it. I think it was a Price is Right game that I'm getting mixed in with.
Oh, yes. I know Price is Right did that. And then
Yeah.
they put like your dice, this big oversized dice in like a little box or something so
Right,
you could
right.
see it. And then, yeah. And then they would roll the big oversized dice down the thing. Yeah. Like, that's a perfect game show to me. Just a series of little small challenges, almost like Beat the Clock.
Yeah.
You know, in a sense.
I don't know. I think a lot of those where you're kind of playing with these chance, you know, it's not a quiz or anything like that. Just the chance of it all always enticed me a little bit more, because there were a lot of games, not to go off to Price is Right too much, but I felt like there were certain games that I loved more than others, because I felt like there was actual skill involved versus just luck of the draw.
Sure.
Or
Yeah.
whatever the chance may be at that point. Because like the yodeling dude, whatever going up there, it's
I
just,
hated that one so
yeah,
much.
you just say stop.
Yeah.
Who cares? You know, there's no challenge in that. The dice game, that's up to
Yeah.
you. You know, you're rolling it, and then you have to
You are.
decide.
Yeah.
I know it's
Going
it's
with
chance, but I don't know. I feel like there's a tad of skill in it.
I like those, especially if I feel like I can play along at home.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, which is why, like, I think Jeopardy, I respect it, but I was never really smart enough to go through all that, so I didn't really care for it, right? Because I'm like, I barely know any of the stuff you're talking about, you know?
Mhm.
Do you have something with God in it? That's what I learned growing up. No? Okay. Pass. What do you do on Jeopardy? Just not buzzing or whatever.
All right, I've got another deep cut for you, and I'm hoping that you know this one.
Okay. I hope so, too.
And I cannot explain why I like this show. I honestly think it was the aesthetic of the set. Just
Okay.
was appealing to watch. The game itself is pretty straightforward, but it was called Sale of the Century. Do you remember this?
No, I think you might have actually found one that I had not heard of.
Okay.
Interesting.
It may have had other hosts before I came along, but the one I remember, and you might actually recognize Jim Perry. He was one of those game show guys that you would see.
Sure.
You know, he just had that look, and he even had that voice. Welcome to Sale of the Century. I'm Jim Perry. No,
Oh,
something
wait,
like that.
Sale, S-A-L-E.
Yeah.
Okay, for some reason I was trying to think of like about. Are we going
Sale.
to the Regatta Gala? Like, what's going on? Okay, go ahead.
So essentially, you have three contestants, like most of these game shows do. You either have two or three at most, and they just kind of give you some general questions. It helps you kind of earn some money, and then eventually, once they get to a certain point in the game, then you have an instant bargain. So you take the money that you have, and you're trying to cut a sale for whatever prize they're trying to pitch to you like that, and then if you choose to purchase said bargain, you'll get that, but then that's deducted from your score, and the idea is to have the most money along with whatever prizes at the end. Something to that effect, if I remember correctly. And then, of course, you can use your final score to then purchase a bigger prize at the end, if you make it that far, and then however it goes from that point on. I don't remember. I don't think they had return guests or return champions.
Okay, interesting.
You know,
a
'cause
lot of them did that.
Yeah, a lot of game shows back then would play that, but
Yeah, you keep coming until you lose. Yeah.
right. But yeah, there was just, I don't know, it was a simple, silly little show, and
Don't have to explain it to me, man. I get it when you get into game shows like that. Like, well, then did you watch Pyramid?
I
$10,000
loved Pyramid. Yes, that was another
Thank you.
one.
That is one that I could sit there and really get into, and like I'm screaming at the screen or doing all this stuff. And even the new one they did with Michael Strahan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was like, did I get his name right? That one totally the same. I could recommend sitting down and watching it. It's like you remembered, and depending on which celebrity they get, could be even more fun. And probably more nerve-wracking, because sometimes some celebrities are not good.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad for the contestant when you get stuck with a celebrity that's so bad that it's just like, oh, damn. Like, we need to vet these out. But if you have two sides that are rocking it, so much fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just like, they keep getting to 7, keep getting to 7, keep getting to 7. And I love it. But yeah, that's one that anytime it came on too, I wanted to watch it because it could just be a good time. Because it was something I could also play along with.
Yeah.
You know, I could probably guess. Well, I would try to play along with, because I know at home it's harder because they're always showing you what the word is.
Sure.
So if you really want to play, you've got to be honest with yourself and just not look at the answer.
Mm.
You know, and you could do it, you know, just not pay attention to the captioning or whatever. And that's how I would want to play, because I want to play. I want to be on a game show so bad.
Yeah, so do I. I mean,
Like,
I'd probably
bad. Just one day, I want to be on a game show, and hopefully one that I enjoy. I probably should apply. I've never applied, so it's like they say, I wish I'd win the lottery, but I never buy tickets.
Sure.
So, that and Hell's Kitchen. Those are my bucket list items. I want to go eat at Hell's Kitchen while it's taping, hopefully towards the end, so I'll get food, and then go on a game show and compete.
It would be fun just to
It
do
would
it
be.
at least.
Dude, we should, because I cannot really talk the Hubs into wanting to do it. I think he would, but I don't know. Maybe it should be we go apply.
Yeah. We'll do it.
And just go on one and let's see. Let's do it.
Maybe we could just promote everything. Just be like, yeah, we're doing all this thing. Wear our special shirts and everything. It's like, what is
God.
that?
Yeah.
Get it on national television.
Because there's some where you get to act all silly and big like that. But yeah.
Okay.
My
so
bucket list.
I'm going to throw a curveball in here to see if these are the ones that you ever watched. Because I wouldn't go out of my way to watch them because they weren't necessarily the types of game shows. And I don't even know if some were, some maybe not so much, but the dating type games. So you had the dating game, you had the newlywed game, or love connection.
Yep.
These types.
Good old Chuck Woolery.
Yeah, good old Chuck Woolery. He's not isn't he kind of a dick now?
Yeah, I think I heard that later on. Yeah. And that sucks too because I liked Lingo also. And I'm like, Chuck! God damn it. But, the game is fun still, regardless of.
But Bob Eubanks. That was the guy from the Newlywed
Bob
Game.
Eubanks. Man, he did a bunch too back then.
He was like one of those TV game show hosts. That was his thing. See, Bob Eubanks. I'm Bob Eubanks. Welcome to the Newlywed Game. He had, and I don't know, I'm sure I can point people to this, but there are some videos that I had, and I think you can find some of these streaming on some of the freer, like Tubi or Freevee or something like that. But there were these old blooper reels from all these shows.
Oh, gosh.
There was this one from the Newlywed Game that I remembered, and he was trying to ask.
Before he goes to bed. The very first thing he does before he goes to bed, right? We make love and then we go to sleep to go to bed. We do it in the bed, but then we go to sleep.
I think what I should do is perhaps repeat the question. Now, you stay out of it, Judge. I don't need you right now. I got enough problems. This is the first thing he does before he goes to bed.
To go to sleep?
You mean he goes to sleep before he goes to bed?
No, we make love and then go to bed.
Yeah, I know that.
It's a ritual.
Yeah, right. It's a heck of a ritual. This is the food. Look, I have a hard job, Judge. So this is before he goes to bed, right? Forget about all that other stuff. This is the first thing he does before he goes to bed.
Well, once he gets in bed.
No, I don't want to know about that. I want to know before he gets in bed.
He looks at me.
Thank you. The first thing you do before you go to bed. Yourself. I can't say that, so I guess before you go to bed. Well, open the shower door and then I take a shower. What's the first thing you do? Open the shower door or take a shower? Take a shower. Oh, you take a shower before you open the door. I see. All right. Seriously, the first thing you do is you look at your wife. Brian?
They're just so confused.
Yep. But they're so missing like that. I don't know. It feels so cringe and awkward to me though too, where I'm just like, oh, ouch, because I think you had to have been married, obviously, Newlywed within a year to be on the show, right? And we've talked about that, even though now I'm well past the Newlywed stage. We'll play some of those, and I'm like, I think we would rock it.
Yeah.
And I mean, because my life is so simple, there's only maybe 5 answers to me in total. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So him, I think, yeah, I would love to. If they had an old married couple game.
Think about it,
I'd
though.
rock it.
I think that would work just as well because you think about the drama you're stirring up with that shit.
20 years of, oh God.
The old married couple game, and then you're just like, what is your wife's favorite food? Pizza?
Yeah.
It's like pizza.
Well, I know he doesn't pick his socks up when he, and then just all that thing.
Oh, yeah. It would be hilarious.
How often do you help your wife with the dishes? Every time she cooks. When's the last time you saw a dish? If that was the 50s version.
Sure.
Obviously, these days, men can wash dishes too.
Yes, we can.
Yes. And you should. Just
We should.
putting that out there. That actually. This is how I learned this fun trivia, I guess, because I was making fun of it as I was watching it. Some of them all have commercials still in there from like back in the day. And chiffon dish soap. That was apparently a big name in the 50s and 60s. All right. The commercials for these are amazing. Two, I really badly wanted to bring up because I thought it was hilarious. But this dude's at a restaurant eating dinner, has no money. Server comes over to him, like, I got a cent. And so the next scene is the server throwing dude in the kitchen to go wash dishes, right? Because you ate the meal. And he pulls chiffon dish soap out of his coat. And I'm like, wait a minute. So are you implying this man with no money just carries around dish soap in his pocket? And then there was another one where there was two of them actually, and it was very much, they were like, a dish soap mild enough for blondes. And I'm like, what?
What?
What? So I go look up another commercial for this because I'm like, I got to understand what this is. And of course, it's like a cartoon version of a blonde woman having like some business meeting with the guys about chiffon dish soap. And they all go under the table like, well, what are we going to do? Exclude the brunettes and exclude the redheads? And they go under the table and like, of course, this is the answer from this ditzy blonde over here. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. And then I was like, this can't be a thing. And then I'm looking it up. And then apparently there is like some science behind like blondes having more sensitive skin and redheads apparently have higher pain tolerances and all this stuff. And I'm like, Here I thought they were just making fun of this whole thing because we would just buy anything, right? You said it to us on TV, so it's probably true. But that killed me. Of course, This is the answer from the ditzy blonde over here, under the table. And I'm like, these poor women, nobody was standing up for you at all. You thought this was hilarious. But, yeah. Chiffon dish soap apparently was a big deal back then and mild enough for blondes.
Mild enough for blondes. That is...
Yep.
Okay.
It's just like, how offensive is this? And then I'm looking it up and like, wait, this could be right? Holy crap. How did I live my whole life? I'm like, my skin is very sensitive, actually. And I didn't even think it had anything to do with my hair color. But apparently, that's the culprit. I should have been a brunette or a redhead. And I would have had better tolerance for pain. I don't know. Anyway.
All right.
I just wanted to share.
I got another one for you.
Yeah, let's do it.
And I'm hoping... you remember this one because I'm almost positive.
Me too.
And I'm trying to make sure that I don't have my host. There we are. Yep. Okay. So it is right. I vaguely remember this show. I feel like this is one of the first game shows that I ever retained in my head. And I think it got canceled somewhere in my, like when I was like really little. I'd say probably around 5 or 6. And I don't remember it ever coming back, but maybe I saw it on reruns, syndication, whatever.
Sure.
Tic-Tac-Doe with
Yes!
Wink Martindale.
Yes.
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 I loved the show for the vague bits that I can remember. And why wouldn't we enjoy it as kids? It's tic-tac-toe. That's the thing that we know. But it's dough, and there's money. So why wouldn't you just fall into place? It sounds like the game I want to play.
It's like we all understand the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wink Martindale, that's another game show type. That
he's been around a while too. Or you could see a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had a type.
Yeah.
For sure. And a lot of them, they did do more than one game show. Like they just ran the game show circuit during the day or when one ended, they'd get a new one. Because I don't know when they started showing some later in the evening. Because I felt like they were mostly all daytime.
Yeah, I think a few.
Like Wheel of Fortune's evening. Like when did they start? Was that 90s? Would we have started doing it?
I feel like
maybe we were forgiving them again at that point. Because I want to say after the whole quiz show debacle, so many of them got canceled, obviously, and people just stopped watching and then ads pulled because they were like, well, I don't want to put my ad on a show that's boring to watch.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows the answers or whatever.
See, from my memory, and again, something as I've mentioned before, my childhood memory is muddled
Sure.
and
It's
mixed
all
up.
spotty. Yeah.
But I'm almost positive from 5 to 6 in the evenings, and I want to say on our network, Channel 2, which was ABC,
Mm-hmm.
they would do a game show block. It was Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy
Sure.
during from 5 to 6 before the local news, and I guess
Mm-hmm.
somewhere before, or sometimes they would do like the oh goddamn, what do you call it? Station news, I guess.
Oh, just like your local news, or
Yeah, because it would, and even if it wasn't an hour block, I remember it was like you would have your station news at one.
Mm-hmm. Like
30
your
minutes.
weather and
Yeah. And then you would have your world news that was like CBS Evening News with Dan Ruther. And then,
oh, I was Tom Brokaw.
or Tom Brokaw.
Apparently, as a kid, I had a little, what you could call a crush on Tom Brokaw. My mom
Did
said
you
every
like
time
the
he came
way-
on TV, I would run in there and be like, Tommy! And just watch the TV. And I was just like, interesting. All right. Like, I look at him today and I was just like, I don't know why, as a, I don't know, little kid, that I was like, Tommy, Tommy. She's like, I wanted to take a picture and send it so bad. Because back in the 80s, we probably would have gotten on TV for being all adorable like that, you know?
He had that voice. I mean, it was just like, I'm Tom Brokaw. Welcome to the NBC Nightly News.
Apparently, it was great for me as a
Oh.
kid.
Yeah, just that
Loved
deep,
it.
luscious voice. Tom Brokaw.
Must have been something hit for me because she told me that story. And I do kind of remember sitting down to watch it. Would I have had any clue what he was talking about? Probably not. I was little. Single digits. You know what I mean? Like, I don't remember what I was doing. If I was young enough to be cute,
Yeah.
you know, or she thought it was adorable. So that age.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Well, I don't know how black and white to go though, because I used to watch a bunch of those too. Did you ever hear or see in passing one called Video Village?
The name rings a bell so hard, but for some reason the game itself is not. It's
Clicking.
not lighting up, but I know the name.
It's almost like a live game of Monopoly, if you think
Okay.
about it. They have a life-size board game set up. Like, you're the pawn, you're walking the steps on all of the different things, and your partner is the one rolling the dice for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you could win as much as you want if you can keep going around within the time allotted. But each step will either have a prize on it, a penalty. Then you can get to one village area where there's all these shops. And if you happen to land on the right one, you take the key for that shop. But the thing is that really kills me is like, to get to finish, you have to get to the finish line on the button. So like, if you need to roll a 1, you need to roll a 1. There's no like, you can roll 6 and you're past it. That's where the fun really would come in, because of course, towards the end, they have different ones that'll be like swap places with the other contestant. Or if you land on the same spot as them, you can decide to like take a new spot or send them back to the bridge, you know? So you could be seeing them swap places so many times there at the end. And when I was watching the other day, it was hilarious. The guy needed a 1 or a 2. Every time his wife rolled a 5, and I am not joking, it was a 5. Every time. I'm like, how is she so consistently rolling 5s? Then finally the woman got caught back up. She needed like a 2 or a 3, and it's a 5. And I'm like, something's rigged. How is everyone? It's 5. It wasn't like 4 or 6. It was just always 5. Dude finally ended up winning because she finally got like the 2 or 3 that he needed. But it was just, they're swapping prizes back and forth. They're walking back and forth. They're like standing there. And the host was so good too, because he'd be like, we need a tour. What do you need? He would just keep the energy going so high. And I'm like, I want to play that one because it's a life-size board game.
So was this a show that you were able to check out on the Game Show Network?
I actually started catching some of them on YouTube just for shits and grins to see if anybody's uploaded some of these old ones. I want to say back in the day, I saw a lot of them on Game Show Network. And that's how I knew what Say When was, but I had forgotten completely about it until I started doing some more looking up for this right here, which isn't that fun of a show. You know,
Right.
It was like probably what Price is Right probably stole some rules from. Like, it's 2 contestants. They have like 4 prizes on a board. You pick a prize, you get the cash amount. Whoever can get to $12.50 without going over. So you're just picking these prizes. You don't know what they cost. You're just like trying to add it up in your head. And then once you've picked a prize, a new prize will take its spot, and you keep going back and forth until someone gets the closest to $12.50 they can without going over. So I'm like, ooh, probably a Price is Right precursor.
Sure, yeah.
Because Price is Right started a long time ago. What's his name? Bob Barker was not the first host.
I can't remember who was right off the top of my head.
I never saw it, but I just knew he wasn't, just from
Right.
research and stuff, that he wasn't the first host. I don't think Bob Barker was always the host to me, you know.
Well, let's see. We
First
can
host.
find...
Bill Cullen, who did a
Okay.
lot of hosting for other game shows, of course, back in the day. So I guess it would just naturally mean you'd be good for this. But he did it only for 2 years. It says from 63 to 65, which aired, oh wait, no, I'm lying, which aired on NBC from 56 to 63 and on ABC from 63 to 65. And then Bob took over.
So since you brought that up, I want to talk about this real quick because
Mm-hmm.
while we're on the subject, do you remember when they did Price is Right at night, like a prime time show, and they had some new host? I think it was this guy right here, Tom Kennedy, because
so very like you saying it kind of feels like I remember.
it just something about it seemed off, and I think the host himself was the biggest problem because you're like, no, I don't want to see you.
This isn't right.
I don't give a
This
shit if this
guy.
is at night or not.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Interesting. I'm trying to remember. Seeing if I can find it here.
Yeah, I remember it vaguely, and I don't think it actually lasted very long. I could be wrong, or maybe I just didn't watch it, but maybe at least 1 year it may have lasted, or 1 season. But
Interesting. Because it keeps throwing up Drew Carey for me here, and I'm like, maybe they did a special at night, but I know he wasn't the host back then, guys. Not
Yeah.
even close.
I just never understood why you would have done that. If it's a daytime show and then you want to do a primetime special, like what are you doing
Yeah.
that you're not already doing during the day?
Right. Yeah, like what kind of, you'd have to make it a little bit different, I would hope.
Yeah, you would hope, because I mean,
Is that
you're-
when you do more risque prizes? I don't know. Like, ooh, she got 12 nylons.
Ooh.
Ooh. You know? I mean, that was prizes too. I just
Yeah.
remember like you got the new non-tear hosiery, you know, just like, oh man,
No.
poor women had to wear all this crap. Although there's something to be said though for the way people presented themselves a little bit back then. You can hate me all you want, but it's kind of fun to see like they cared a little bit more about what they look like, or forced to. Who knows? You know, they may not have had any choices, but it was just like every suit and tie, nice
Yeah.
shirt or nice dress, you know, like, I don't know. They cared more when they were on TV to look presentable. And I'm not, whatever, to each their own. Our style just changes over the years, clearly, because I mean, none of us have hair that big anymore on
No.
purpose. You know, back then when they were wanting the hair that big, you know.
The beehive.
So things change, but
Hmm.
athleisure wear is just the one that I'm just like, I get it. Trust me, I live in pajamas.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
I just do. But certain things when I'm leaving the house, I feel requires real pants. But it's just me. You do you. As long as you're like abiding by the law, go do your thing. You know. But anyway, yeah. And then the only other one I was kind of wanting to ask you about, because like this popped up the other day, and it just seems like such a bummer concept.
Okay.
And it lasted for so long for back then. But it was a show called Queen for a Day.
That does sound familiar too. I'm drawing a blank on it.
Yeah.
But I know
Well,
it sounds familiar.
The host, for one, this guy named Jack Bailey, because I actually wrote it down this time, because the host, wow, he would crack himself up. He'd make sure to let you know when he made up that joke. Like, it was just, wow. He looked kind of like the sleazy car salesman kind of type. Like, there was a type, you know?
Yeah.
But the concept was, it was just like a room full of like older women. Room full of them. And like 4 would get pulled up and literally explain their life sob story. And whichever one the audience felt was the most pitiful would get the loudest cheer and win whatever their ask was for. And apparently it lasted a very long time. And I'm watching this thing. It's super boring to me. I was just like, I can't even watch this. Because, like, this one woman, she comes up. She works for an egg company.
Okay.
She helps run the machines, put the eggs in the cartons, all that kind of stuff, right? And they work like night, 4 to 12:30 a.m. for whatever reason. I guess so it's ready for morning. I don't know. But her ask was, because she was sitting on egg crates at work, her ask was a stool. Adjustable one preferred.
Okay.
That's it. That was all she wanted. That was the ask.
Like
So it's just simple things like these poor people are like, I just really want to be able to sit at some point in the day so somebody could just have pity on me because my husband's disabled. Got to remember that. It's got to be the full sob story. And I've been taking care of him for a year and I'm old enough to be retired. And I'm a woman, so I'm probably not supposed to be working anyway. And then they would cheer at your, horrible life to be the winner. And it lasted so long. It was just like, wow.
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm sitting here looking stuff up about it. Quote from a veteran TV writer calls it one of the most ghastly TV shows ever produced.
It's just putting their trauma on display to win small prizes. It wasn't even like you got even $100. An adjustable stool.
He called it, quote, tasteless, demeaning to women, demeaning to anyone who watched it, cheap, insulting, and utterly degrading to the human spirit.
Wow.
Wow.
It hurt him more than it hurt me, for sure. But maybe he saw more episodes. Yeah. But he's not wrong. Like, it just felt, I don't know, it just felt so creepy to do. Like, let's put these women up here and just tell us how horrible of a life you have, and then we'll judge you based on applause. So I just told you the worst parts of my life and you're cheering. And my life is so pitiful. All I want is an adjustable stool. It wasn't even like good asks to change your life in any meaningful way. I just want to sit. So yeah, there is that happened. But it lasted several years, which is like what killed me. Because even when I was looking it up a little bit, they were talking about how popular it was, which goes to just show you just how different we saw any of those things and how much progress we've actually made. Like, I know people want to flip a switch and have everything all fixed, but look at the progress, though. I know it sucks that it had to be that way to begin with, but like, it's getting there to a degree, we're not doing that anymore. Well, actually, I take that back. Most reality competition shows are exactly that.
I was going to say,
you don't get to go on the show unless you have to cry about a billion things in your life because it's just so pitiful. And like, I've even seen applications for reality shows. I may have known a couple of people who have gone on them. And that was why I wanted to kind of bring it full back with why they're not having to abide by those same laws that quiz shows do, because they're totally producing the outcome.
Yeah.
I think the difference is they're probably not explicitly doing that, so it can kind of skirt around it. But they're definitely being produced behind the scenes and trying to adjust things to go one way or the other depending on ratings. So you're still not fairly competing in these shows. And it just makes me wonder how they've been able to, because we started this hardcore like 2000. I want to say Survivor was what really kicked it off. I know we had, what was the one on MTV?
Oh,
it was a Big
World.
Brother, right? Wonderworld.
Real World.
Real World. Which is one of the first ones I kind of remember, but I don't know that was a competition. It was more just like a reality show.
Yeah.
People like stuck, I don't know. But like, so Survivor, I guess, would be the first one I kind of remember being a popular competition, quote unquote, reality show. And it just, like, I watch more now. I still watch them. I like Hell's Kitchen. I do. I enjoy it. I skip past all the bullshit, though, really. I just watch them prep and cook. I don't care about your life. I'm sorry. Most game shows, I zip right past you talking about yourself. Don't care. Want to play the game. I could not care less what's going on and why you're there. So I often wonder when I'm watching it, because there's sometimes he makes calls, and I get that it's edited in a certain way and all this kind of stuff, so I'm sure I'm not getting the full scope, but like sometimes I've seen him make calls where I go, what? Like, I'm not the professional chef, but really? You're sending that person home? they did so good. So like, it almost takes the fun out of it.
Right.
Because I want to see the genuine competition. And it's like now to realize that probably all of the game shows I've watched for my entire life are not real.
Well,
Like, was anybody really competing legitimately after a while? You know?
I get that, yeah.
It sucks because I really do like Hell's Kitchen. And like today's day and age, I watch Hell's Kitchen. I love Crime Scene Kitchen. That's probably one of my favorite kind of competition game shows that they do now. And if you haven't watched it, I recommend it if you like game shows. I don't know. I just think it's a cool concept that they have these teams going through a kitchen where a dessert was made. And from the evidence left in that kitchen, you have to try to guess what it was and then go make it. So you have to look through the garbage. Maybe they threw away a butter container. You have to look through the dishwasher. Do you see cake pans? You know, so you have in the refrigerator, there's clues everywhere. And I have so much fun playing along with that. And then seeing what the dessert is and everything at the end. And in my head, I'm like, can you really fake that? But I guess you could. I guess you could somehow slip what the dessert is to someone.
Sure.
So they make it. I mean, I've never seen anyone nail it to the T, like down to the exact ingredient. They get super, super close. But like the actual, like every single ingredient, no. But it breaks my heart to think that that's all set up because then it just takes the fun out of watching it and competing along.
No, I agree. I would agree. You want to think there's some actual competition going on.
And then I'm liking the right people.
Right.
Like, how did you edit it? I don't know. It bothers me. It bothers me that there's not more regulations for a competition reality show as they had with the other ones. I figure government going to want their money regardless.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm sure First Dude of Survivor, who won, learned that when he's like, oh, I just won't claim the $1 million on my money that year. It was on national TV.
Yeah,
that you
good
won
work,
this
buddy.
money. You do you, sir. You do you. Didn't end up so well for you, did it, in the long run? But like that just blows my mind. It's not like it was a very on the sly, under the table payment. You were the first winner of Survivor, dude. They're just stupid people. Sometimes it just blows my mind when you're that dumb. Should they get your money? No, they didn't do anything for that. You weren't working a 9 to 5.
Right.
But they're gonna take it anyway, and they're gonna take more of it because it was free.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's a prize. Okay. Well,
It drives
take
me
a little
crazy.
bit
Get
of
your
that
hands
too.
out of all of my money. I like not taking a road with me everywhere. All right. So those taxes are fine. I'll pay for my roads. I'll pay for all that. But some of this other stuff, leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Let me keep my $5 for babysitting the one child. Okay. Okay. Sorry. I know it's way more expensive than that now. If I would have known back when I was babysitting that I could charge $20 an hour or more, I got $1 a kid.
No, you got
An hour.
ripped off.
Hell yeah, I did. That was the going rate. No wonder
Yeah.
I was so busy babysitting kids as a side job when I was 13, 14, 15.
You're like, this kid's cheap.
Right? Oh, man. She's like, I'll pick you up. I'll drop you off. This mom all had it. But anyway, yeah. Things I wish I would have known. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe just to kind of wrap it up, are there any newer ones that you enjoy? And it maybe even one that was remade, or it could be a wholly new concept. If we have wholly new anymore.
Genuinely, there are two that only come to mind as far as new. One, I don't even think's on the air anymore, but it was fairly, I think it probably got canceled because of COVID. I would almost bet on
Yeah,
that.
a few of them, I think, bit the dust, unfortunately, then.
But as far as a competition show, I've mentioned several times that I love The Masked Singer. I don't know
Yep.
why that.
Oh, I can
Just-
get it.
It just, for whatever reason, the concept that they have works for that show. I know they tried to do a spinoff, not even in the same vein. It just doesn't work as anything else. It's about singing. It's about hearing someone either most of the time they all do a great job.
Yeah, decent. Yeah.
Then you have your exceptions with, usually in the first episode of the season or something like that, you have somebody who shouldn't be singing in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
They get booted off that episode. So it's just a fun little reveal or whatever.
Yeah.
And then from there, it becomes a competition because you're hearing these people sing and you're just like, God, I don't know. And then you're also curious who's under the mask. I don't know. You have all the clues. Sometimes you think you've got it. I will admit, this last season, as much as I even hate, like this bothers me considering I like the guy, or I did, and now I don't really know how I feel about him anymore. But I grew up with him, so I guess that's where it messes with your head.
Yeah.
But one of the contestants, I guessed him like episodes before he got unmasked because I heard him sing and I was like, there's something familiar about it, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And then there were some clues, but they weren't obvious. Like, you feel like they could have made this clue very obvious, but it was a very small little clue off in the background. And I spotted it and I was like,
Oh, one of the picture ones, maybe?
Yeah.
Because those ones were hard for me.
Because they glossed it over. It was just like it was right there, but they didn't stay on it. It was just like panning through. And I saw it and I was like, well, that's specific, but not overly specific. But it was specific enough. And then I just started connecting some threads. And then before I knew it, I was like, that motherfucker is John Schneider from Dukes of Hazzard because of this clue and that clue and that clue and that clue. And then I could hear his voice because I've heard him sing. And then it all kind of came together. I was like, that's him. So when they unveil it, I know I'm right. I'm very, very confident I'm right. So there we go. And sure enough, it was him. And I was like, haha. But then the next day he says something on Twitter that, don't know. I don't know what's wrong with the people
He had
in the
to
world.
say something controversial instead of just keeping his mouth shut. And
The
staying a
same
celebrity.
You know, the very same thing that somebody on another side of an aisle would be mad about if someone said, hey, we're going to off your big orange ape of a president. And, you know, they would be mad about that. But the other way around, it's okay.
Sure. Well, we all know the hypocrisy there.
But he said he didn't say it, even though there was screenshots of a tweet that was deleted.
Well, does he run his own Twitter?
I so.
I'm not really trying to help the guy, but I know a lot of the times, like celebrities and stuff like that, like they're not really the ones running any of these social accounts, you know?
That's what he needs to say. If it wasn't him, you'd be like, hey, that wasn't me.
Whoa.
That was this guy. Wasn't me. Sorry. Yeah. But he didn't. He was just like, I would never. It's like,
well, in that case, then you're just an idiot. The internet never forgets.
Yeah. We got screenshots. This is you, is it not?
To be fair, I don't know that I trust those anymore either. People doctor them up so well. Like, I would flip through Reddit and you would see like joke Twitter. It'd be like white people's Twitter, Irish people's Twitter, whatever, you know, and you would see some and I would like belly laugh and I'd be like, wait a minute, did they really though? And I'd go to their page and I could not find it. Now, could it have been deleted like they do? Sure. But a lot of the times I'm like, man, I'm wondering, especially this day and age, I'm to the point where I'm like, I don't know how to trust anything I see with my own eyes. Y'all are too good at the deception.
Yeah. But anyway, that's
a fun one though.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
I watched the first season. I think you were talking about how you were really into it, so I thought I would give it a shot. And so I watched first season. I get it. I got into it, and I was proud of myself. I actually guessed him. But in my defense, I had seen like a documentary like maybe a month or two before about the guy. And so I don't know that I would have gotten it at the time it aired.
Sure.
You know? But yeah, I guessed it all the way through, you know, because as soon as they started talking about how he ruined rap or something, I'm like,
yep.
I just saw this. Because he had to introduce the auto-tune and all this kind of stuff.
And I
can't remember the guy's name, which is funny. I can't remember it.
T-Pain.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I think a lot of the way that they do their clues, they're very specific, but they're so deep that you really have to know this person. And like I said, there are some that I've gotten immediately. There are some I have kind of been wishy-washy about. Like the one that I was so excited about, and it was I can't remember what the costume was, but the guy was singing, and I think they were at least on there for 2 or 3 episodes, and I was listening to him sing, and I was like, God damn it, I know that voice, and I could not, like, it was driving me mad. I knew that voice, and the only reason I knew it is because I listened to his podcast very often.
Ah, okay.
So, or at least at the time. And I was just like, it was just, I couldn't do anything to rattle my brain to get it to click. Then he said something very specific, a certain cadence out of his voice, and it was just like, it unlocked, and I was like, holy shit, it's Penn Jillette. And I just freaked the fuck out. I was like, oh my God.
Too.
Yeah. Because I knew it.
I love those two.
The moment I heard a certain word, a certain way, that's all it took. And I was like, I am 100% convinced. And sure enough, I was right. And I was like,
I hope it was something kind of magical, his get up.
I think it had something to do, like they put their own little flair into it.
Sure,
but it was like it was a group costume. So it was like Penn's over here doing this and Teller's over here doing that.
Oh, so they did have two of them.
Yeah. And that's,
were there more than one contestant that had two?
well, they do on occasion have groups, or they'll have like that one was tricky because you heard two voices. So Teller was singing too, but
I was going to say, how do they sing?
And you don't know what they sound. I mean, I've seen some behind the scenes stuff. I can't remember what it was, but
I don't know that. I had to have heard Teller at some point, but I can't think of it.
Yeah. So I couldn't tell you specifically what his voice is, but I know I have seen him talk. I have heard him talk. But in that context, you hear that singing voice, and then you hear this one over here, and it's like, what is happening? Are they throwing their voice? Are they doing something? And that's where it kind of threw me off. But then when I heard the Penn part, I was like, well, that's got to be Teller. You know, it just has to be. So I don't know. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It's fun. I like those kind where I can play along like that at home and not have it spoiled or anything like that. So I get it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't continue on. But yeah, I watched the one.
It's difficult to avoid. That's why I try to stay off Twitter, like when they do new seasons.
Yeah, you do kind of see who wins all the time before. Yeah.
So I was
just 5 or 6 years behind.
Yeah, I don't pay it any mind. I stay off Twitter, and usually by the time like the next day rolls around, because I usually watch it the day after.
Sure.
It's already kind of filtered through unless something really, really big happens. So I just stay off Twitter.
These days it's a lot easier to stay off Twitter.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing to really go see.
That's right. And there is no Twitter, right? So it doesn't exist anymore.
X.
We're not going to call it that. Stop.
No. It's still the Sears Tower for me also in Chicago. I know they changed it to Willis a long time ago. I'm like, nope, Sears Tower till I die.
Tower.
Sorry.
The only other one I wanted to bring up, and this is the one that I said was getting, or I'm almost positive it has been canceled, but I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a fun game show, and it was Ellen's Game of Games. Did you ever watch that?
Oh, yeah. Those were fun.
Yeah, I thought it was a kind of a nice kind of, it harkened back to those old kind of game shows, you know, of little competitions and stuff like that. Kind of like the Double Dares and stuff of the time. And
yes,
you know,
that was fun too.
So, I don't know. There was just something fun about that. Her energy was fine, and a lot of other stuff that, and I think it was actually...
This was before I think we were still allowed to like Ellen.
Yeah. Because I think that also probably had a lot to do with it getting
canceled. Oh, yeah. If her show went down because of it, and we're talking large show, probably not seen since Oprah, it was bad.
At the time, I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it was a game show that we would actually keep up with, and those are the type that I want to see again. You know, just something that's fun. You know, it doesn't have to be dramatic or anything like it. Just fun, and that's what that felt like to me.
Yeah, no, good call. It's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, I love it, but I don't know that it's coming back. And it was very hit or miss when it was on too. Like the scheduling just seemed to be all over the place, but it was That's My Jam with Jimmy Fallon as the host. I can't remember. I had so much fun playing this game, and it was amazing, and I'm really sad that like I'm not seeing it still on a more regular basis. Who knows? And it wasn't regular contestants, you know, it was always a celebrity that was on there, but the games that they played were so much fun. I mean, if you've ever watched The Tonight Show. Jimmy always likes to play a lot of games with the, guests that comes on from time to time. Like, I don't watch it religiously, but I've seen those segments, of him playing those games with them. So just kind of think about like all of those silly games that he puts together, and then they all play them. And he'll get like pretty decent celebrities that'll come on to actually do it. Although Blake Sheldon, I have a bone to pick with you. You are not allowed to be a contestant on a game show anymore. I'm sure you're a wonderful human, but you are not a good sport. And it was not fun to watch you because you were always complaining about everything. And I'm sorry, but that's not how you play game shows. You get into it, you try, and when you lose, oh, well, you're a celebrity. Move on with your life. It's probably for charity or something for all I know. I don't know. But, sorry, dude. And you can sing. When it came to the singing one, why were you? But they would play a game like sing, I don't know, Baby Got Back, but to the tune of, Wide Open Spaces or something. Like they would do a mix mash like that. And so when some of the celebrities would nail it, it's so fun, of course, right? To make it work. And I'm just picking two extreme ends, but it would always be something like that. And then all of them would do it and the audience would vote. Or one of them it was Ariana Grande and what's her name? I think she won the first American Idol. She has her own talk show now. Kelly Clarkson?
Yeah.
Kelly Clarkson.
Go. Yeah.
Those two were competing against something, and what they had to do was like a song would come up and they would have to sing it in that style. I cannot remember the last time I grinned so much. Those two women are so freaking talented. I recommend anyone just go watch that segment because they both nailed the styles back and forth. They both have got huge pipes, man. Like they could belt it and they get really loud. And the way they just kept going back and forth and switching it up to sound like Cher, to sound like Alanis Morissette, it was just blowing my mind. And I was like, I don't even know how you choose a winner at the end of this one. And Ari sings Celine Dion. She sounds exactly like Celine Dion. I was like, how are you people doing this? So much fun. I don't know. I just had a really good time playing along with it. And if you're listening, can we bring it back? It was one of my favorite ones, and I kept stalking it to see when it would come back. And I feel like we got one episode, 3 weeks later, we got 2 or 3, and then like a month later, we got 4 and 5, and then it was just gone. Mm-hmm. And I'm really sad because it was so much fun. But I do still watch, there's 2 we started watching. I loved Name That Tune. Even back in the day, Name That Tune. So when they revived it, and I like Jane Krakowski also, so it's like, oh, this will be fun. I think the Rona killed it a little, and I'll just say, they used to have normies on the show all the time. Joe Schmo, you or I, go on, we name that tune, we win money, we go home. Ever since the Rona hit, they've changed it to Celebrity Name That Tune. Mm-hmm. They suck. Can we stop it? I've not seen a single one of them win, ever. And the competition involved, the stakes aren't really that high. Because again, they're playing for charity. It's not like for money that they're going into their pocket because they're a human who needs money. So I still watch it from time to time, but I'm just going to let y'all know it's not as good. You need to bring normies back because normies are better at the guessing of the game. The competition's more fun because they want it more. And for the love of God, can I see someone beat the last part of the game where you guess 6 songs in 30 seconds? I've not seen a celebrity do it. Not even get close. And this is why it's not as much fun, because if they miss one, well, since we're playing for charity, you get to keep on going and try to win as much. So it's like there's no real stakes. You get to keep playing even if you get it wrong. Come on, Name That Tune. I know people like to watch celebrities and all this stuff, but they suck at this game. And even when you bring singers in, I'm like, how do you guys suck at this game? Why is nobody good at this game if you're a celebrity? Or maybe it's the caliber of celebrities they get. Maybe they all suck. But yeah, you just don't have as much fun when they just start losing everything right away. Anyway. And then I started watching The Floor, which is the newest one that Rob Lowe is hosting, because apparently he's been running game show hosting circuit now for the last couple of years also, because he had another one, I can't remember what it's called now, where the contestant was in some sort of machine, this huge contraption that would like spin them upside down and around and then face them at a wall that would have some sort of whatever on it. I don't know if it was like a clue or a match game or a puzzle or a saying or a whatever. And then if you could get through all of them, you know, you went and sat at a chair until the next person went through and see who could win it. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah. It sounds weird.
I don't know why I can't remember the name of it now, but the floor, though, is all these like contestants on a spot on a floor, and they each have their own category that they're supposedly an expert in. And it's literally random. It could be about paper. It could be about computers. It could be about celebrities. It could be about fashion icons. You know, like it's just junk drawer items. Like, and they come up against each other. It is pictures. And so they show you a picture. You have to name what it is and get it right and keep going back and forth within 30 seconds. Your time stops once you guess it correctly, and then the next person goes and then their clock. But if you pass, you lose 3 seconds. So that one's been kind of interesting. I did watch this season. It's the first one. Mm-hmm. Again, I recommend skipping past all the, why am I here? Because it's just boring. But if I just go to the part where they're getting ready to compete, they do their thing and move on. Is it the greatest game show I've ever seen? Not even close. Is it entertaining while you're watching it at the time? I think so, because I feel like I have a better chance of getting it right when you're showing me a picture. You know, like until they got to fashion icons on the one, and I was just like, I'm not gonna know any of these people. And unfortunately, neither did one of the people who was competing. So, anyway, if you're looking for a new one and that sounds interesting to you, and if you win, you take over their spot. So the whole point is to try to own, obviously, the entire board as yours grows and grows and grows. And whoever has the most squares at the end of an episode can win $20,000 until you get to the last one, which I think was supposed to be 100 or something like that. So I don't know. It's a new one that came out. I find it a little interesting if you want to try that one out. But I'm always like looking through that game show banner on Hulu when I go through. I'm like, what we got? Anything new? Anything interesting? And then I check it out, especially if it's a remake, because I really want to see if they do any good with the remake, because like Supermarket Sweep's been done to death a billion times. I think that one just needs to die. I think it finally did, because what's her name? Leslie. She was from Saturday Night Live. Jones? Leslie Jones?
Sounds
Is that her
right.
last name?
Yes, I think so. Yes,
she was the host on the newest one. She might be great. She's not meant for game show host.
Some people aren't. Yeah, some people aren't.
Yeah. It's just when they're trying. I don't know, and I'm nothing against her. I just think maybe her humor doesn't hit as hard with me too, because it just always seems like it's very loud, and I feel like you're yelling at me all the time, and you make me on edge. Calm down. Stop screaming at me. It's okay. And then in the 90s, they did it again. And I didn't actually realize until a few years back that it like started in the 60s. Like there was a black and white Supermarket Sweep that was the exact same thing. You answer a few questions, you go run through the grocery with your cart and pick up your items or whatever it is to make it up. It was funny we did that 3 times because it wasn't amazing the first time.
Yeah.
You know, it was just one of those where I'm like, why is that the one out of all of these that we keep doing?
They just had a feeling. It's like, it's going to hit one day. We just got to keep trying.
You would think nowadays, maybe, I guess, you know, we're all like, food's too expensive. So like now maybe it would be maybe more like a Hunger Games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's about all the ones that I watch now. I can't recall. So Hell's Kitchen, Crime Scene Kitchen, The Floor, We're Still in the Air, and Celebrity. Name that tune because I guess I'll continue because I like to play. But one day, one of them has to win. Like, this is just getting dumb. It's getting dumb. How long has it been back since the Rona? Go back to normies. That's my suggestion. Go back to normies. They want it more. It's not just for charity, you know? Anyway. What do you think, siblings? Got any favorite game shows? Do you watch them all?
Yeah, I'd love to hear from
Family Feud
everybody.
might actually be the one that's been remade over and over. Well, not remade. I think just continued, but put a new person in front of it. That's been around a long time.
There have been more hosts for Family Feud than I have seen for any game show. Just in my lifetime, because I started with Dawson, Ray Combs, then...
I forgot about him.
I feel like... I can't remember their names. I think it was Richard Karn was the guy from... from
Home Improvement.
Yeah.
I forgot about that entirely. Oh, so there's more than I even thought.
And then they got that...
Steve Harvey.
No, before him.
Oh, before him.
There was I can't remember his name. He was on Seinfeld. He was Elaine's boss, Jay Peterman. I can't remember his actual name, but I know he hosted for a hot second. Kind of has
I
a
never
voice
did the Seinfeld thing. I'm sorry.
that talks like this. Very tall, very gray-haired.
Huh. I'm even looking at his face, and he just doesn't ring a bell with me at all. All right. Well.
And then I think Steve Harvey, unless there was... No, Louis Anderson. Christ, I forgot about Louis.
Oh, crap. I forgot about him, too.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So,
Okay, hold on.
I think Louis was in there between Richard Karn and that guy.
Yeah, because Karn, I feel like, wasn't very long.
No.
Harvey's been a minute. Is
But
he the
yeah,
last one even, though?
I think Steve Harvey's been the
Is he
last
still doing it, right?
committed one. Like, today.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah. So Richard Dawson, Ray Combs, Louis Anderson, Richard Carr, John O'Hurley.
okay, John O'Hurley.
Steve
All right.
Harvey. Okay.
So
okay.
I got them mixed up, but right there in those
Right.
three, that's where I couldn't remember.
Interesting. Yeah, so Dawson was 76 to 85. And then Combs, I guess there was a little downtime there because Ray Combs was 88 to 94. Did we really keep taking all these breaks? Because then it says Louis Anderson was 99 to 202.
Well, I think the break there within the 5-year gap may have had something to do with Ray Combs in general because he did commit suicide. That's why they canceled the show.
Okay, then that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
then after that, it seems to be continuous from Louis to Richard to John to Steve. There's no gaps. Oh, shoot. All right. Wow, but that is a lot of hosts.
Yeah.
That is a lot of hosts. And I feel like we've been alive for them all then.
Sure, yeah.
I guess.
Feels like it.
Now that I'm looking at it, I mean, Dawson, didn't vary before me, but, bled into me.
And all his
I
making
didn't know he
out
was
with
the
people.
first, though. Oh my gosh. I'm obviously would not fly today, but why was it okay then too?
No
I feel like
idea.
It was so gross. Like after a while, I'd be the last chick and I'd be like, These are my family.
Yeah.
Like,
Just-
why are you kissing them all and then you're kissing me?
No. It's all right.
No. And I'm sure it was one of those, I bet there was plenty of women who were like, ugh. But, it's like, has to come with the territory, unfortunately, or something. Because, ew.
Yeah.
At least on Match Game he didn't, but he didn't get the opportunity to. He was having to sit there and play the game. He wasn't hosting, Like, and then when he started that, I was just like, oh. And I'm so glad none of them continued it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these women were trapped, pretty much.
Everyone. It was so, why was that okay? I don't know. Us poor women just get mistreated all throughout history in some shape or form. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Siblings. What do you think? You got any favorite game shows that you watch now that you used to watch? A comfort one? I don't know, like a homeschool from sick one day and you had a favorite, some game shows that you got to watch or whatever? Because I know I did and I loved it. My soup and my game shows.
That's right. And especially during the summertime, man. That's when you get to really watch them all, Wasn't just that one day you got.
Yeah, because there was no hiatus. We kept going. There wasn't a season of a game show. You just kept moving until. I'm sure there was a little break somewhere because you got to give them a break at some point, maybe by laws or whatever. But yeah, well, that's it though.
Yeah,
I would love to hear about it if you watched any old ones. What's your favorite prize that you've ever seen out of a black and white one? Hopefully, you can answer that down below. What was your favorite prize that you ever saw? Or the most like, oh my God, they gave that away as prizes from back in the day? Love to hear it. Because if it's not 48 pounds of ham
or a carton of camels
or a carton of camels, I'd love to hear it because I'm sure there's some other real interesting ones that I just haven't seen yet.
Tell us all of this stuff on social media at Super Mega Crash. Tag us in it and just let us know what you're thinking about out there with these game shows. Send us an email if you want, supermegacrash@gmail.com. Support the show over on Patreon. 5-star reviews on your favorite podcasting app. We'd really appreciate it. And just pencilpaperproductions.com/supermegacrash where you can find everything. Links are down below. Join us again next week, siblings. I'm sure there's a sign-off for a game show that I can't think of right now. So
Godspeed and good night.
And go beyond your limits.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.